you described the workshops a little bit, but I do want to get back to that a little bit and get into a little more detail. Can you just kind of walk us through the experience that somebody has attending one of the workshops? Like where do you start and what are the sessions like?
We open very high level, and we're focused on questioning a lot of key foundational beliefs, if you will, like the hierarchy of animals, hierarchy with, the view of humans at the top of this pyramid, and that conventional view. Um, Talk about the animal turn, which we're in the midst of right now, um, both academically and I think in culturally as well. And um, talk about some of these writers that influenced us. And then I believe we move into Midge, help me out. Craft, is that the next one? Is craft the next
We
one?
have we kind of divide. We co-teach two classes. So and then we each teach a class. So we start out together talking about, kind of an overview of the course and um history of animal literature, and then and then we take a closer look at things like researching and how to go about writing for animals, how to research. We talk about pronouns and just the little details, like using it, calling an animal it. We talk about Robin Wall Kimmerer's essays on this topic, and then we talk about craft as well, and we look at examples in literature, whether it's a whole book that is animal focused, or as we've spoken about a little bit, some of these smaller moments in mainstream books that aren't about animals but that give us a glimpse into the mind of an animal. And then we talk about publishing for animals, because that is a challenge, as we've talked about as well. Our mainstream publishers really open to some of these ideas sometimes, but it's rare. And how do you navigate that? And how can you find some of the smaller presses that are taking a chance on these books, and how to get your work out there successfully?
Oh, and we talk about genre a lot as well, because that's an area that Midge and I, with our mystery novel, we're
Right.
leveraging we're this genre of a mystery to, sneak through some animal evangelism, if you will, and education about, in this case, the Tasmanian devil, and also we have a vegan character as well. So we talk a lot about genre as an opportunity, and I think an underutilized area. And then another area with regards to research. I'm a huge fan of research and researching science and listening to scientists, but you also have to be very careful, because you also have to follow the money. And so I have one little case study where we delve into research that came out of one of these ag schools in the US. And I don't know if everyone knows how the ag schools function, but they're generally aligned with animal agriculture and animal production for food. So a lot of the research they produce, which gets reported in media, is not going to be pro-animal. It's going to be the opposite. And so looking at, being able to sift through that is really important for writers, whether you're doing fiction or nonfiction, to understand the dynamics at play. And also looking for drama in some of these stories, and because there's a lot of drama in these fields as well. I think there's going to be great novels written about people that are caught in positions where their jobs are dependent on animal suffering to various degrees, and their stories have not yet been told, and need to be told, because I think humans aren't all bad or all good generally, right? They're all trying to just get by, and sometimes they get into positions where they get a job, and maybe years into it they realize it's not doing right by animals. I'm researching a novel in that area right now, actually, and I'm trying to be sympathetic to the humans,
Are you
because
familiar with
yeah.
Maddie Krasno's, what's the name of Maddie Krasno's organization? I can't remember, but we've interviewed her. And sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt you,
no,
but it
no,
just
go for
sounds
it.
so relevant to what you're
Yeah.
talking about. It's representing people who either work in research or have worked in research,
Mhm.
who have a lot of regrets about it, feel it damaged
Mhm.
them, going through the whole gamut of what it does to people. It's very powerful. It sounds like they might connect you to some I don't know what exactly you're writing about, but there might be some
Yeah.
themes in common.
You're right. And you have to desensitize yourself. You have to turn off empathy. And I think that happens in a lot of households with families. You're taught to turn a switch
Oh,
off to survive
absolutely.
as a child, right? And for various reasons. And so what we're trying to do through our writing is find that switch within our reader and get them to turn it back on again. It's going to be painful in many respects, but it's important. That's how we move this planet forward, because we all have it, I believe. For some people may not. Some people may be a lost cause, but I believe that most people have it, and they just,
Yeah.
it's scary to question things that you've lived the way you've lived your life, to question it at a certain point in time, to think, gosh, I shouldn't have done it this way. Thanksgiving dinner. I always hit on, as you know, Thanksgiving is one of those traditions that is so culturally and politically hard entrenched in this country of ours. And how do you shake people in a certain way to get them thinking about rethinking it? So anyway, I think challenging traditions, when you're a writer, traditions are a great source for conflict and a great source or for drama. So that's
Yeah.
another thing we talk
Yeah.
about in the class.
Absolutely. Yeah. The name of the organization I was thinking of is Justify.
Justify. Okay, I'll check
Yeah.
them out.
So a big part of the book are prompts. Can you give us an example of the kind of prompt that you lay out in the book, and then maybe describe what you anticipate someone might do with it?
Wait.
Yeah.
have a quick
Choose
look
one at
here.
random.
Um,
They're so good, and there's so many of them, and they're very thought-provoking.
okay, I just opened to a page. I'll just read this one. Write about your favorite animal when you were 5 years old, then 12, then 18. Feel free to add additional ages, 5 to 7 years apart, depending on how old you are now. And then write about your favorite animal currently. And then the third part of that is how has your relationship with animals or view of animals changed over the years? And that I think is interesting. A lot of our prompts are sort of like, going back to how we thought of animals as kids when we didn't see much differences between the human and non-human as we do today. And to sort of think about that as part of your writer's journey. How did you grow up thinking about animals? How do you think of them now? And, how has that evolved? And a lot of, we do one prompt I really like, and I'm never gonna be able to find it in this moment, but it's about writing a scene with an animal and a human. And then usually we just have people write it. And then we have them look at the pronouns they used. And, most of the time, most writers will use an it for an animal. And, he, she, they for humans. And it's interesting. I actually taught a workshop a few weeks ago in which it was a small group, 4 or 5 students. They all used, none of them used it for an animal as a pronoun, which I thought was extraordinary because that very rarely happens. And so we talk about how, and then I asked them to flip it so that the humans become it and the animals are he, she, they.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how do they feel about that? And they all agree it's really creepy. And then we talk about why it should be creepy when we do it for animals too. And, just getting those little details that make animals not stand out as other quite so much. And then we have all kinds, just so many prompts. There's hundreds of prompts. And we use a lot of quotes to inspire prompts. Then we have timed prompts. We have, writing letters to animals, writing letters from animals, just get some things that get your imagination going and sort of, put you in the paws or talons or hooves of other creatures as well.